Earlier in the week, Trump met Japan's new leader, Takaichi Sanae, for the first time before heading to South Korea for the Xi summit. The rapport between the two treaty ally leaders was clear. Watch as they address U.S. troops on the USS George Washington at the U.S. military base of Yokosuka.
This woman, this woman is a winner. So, you know, we've become very close friends all of a sudden because their stock market today and our stock market today hit an all-time high. That means we're doing something right. But the cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world. Really, there's never been anything like it. Born out of the ashes of a terrible war, our bond has grown over 8 decades into the beautiful friendship that we have. It's a foundation of peace and security in the Pacific. You see it? So on behalf of all American sailors stationed in this beautiful country, let's hear it for our allies and the Japanese self-defense forces and all of the Japanese people that we love and respect. And I have such respect for Japan and the country. And now I have a really great respect for the new and incredible Prime Minister. And I have to say this, the first female Prime Minister in the history of Japan.
How do you think Japan will be taking in the summit between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump? I mean, would they, you know, Takaichi, Shinzo Abe's protege, conservative nationalist, pro-Taiwan, anti-China, would she see security concerns in a very warm relationship between Trump and Xi?
Well, indeed, the meeting was extremely warm. Indeed, there are worries in Japan regarding the trajectory of the China policy of the United States. But I don't think the signals sent by the Busan summit are that bad for Japan. You know, there's one thing that I think deserves attention. China indeed has announced in Busan that export control on critical minerals would be suspended for a year. That sends a good signal to foreign companies trying to access those critical minerals. But at the same time, a lot is going on in the US, in Japan, in Europe, in the G7 format, actually. There will be an announcement really soon regarding an alliance to produce, process, and also create a market for critical minerals. So I think that you know, the US and Japan, together with other allies, have a trajectory to decrease dependence on China on the very precise element that has created huge leverage for China in its relationship with the United States. So US-Japan alliance, very strong and on a very positive trajectory. And on the whole economic security agenda, I think what is already progressing in terms of deeper cooperation will deepen further in the coming year.
Alex, there have been reports about this region being worried about Trump going soft on Xi. I mean, Matthew's offered a different analysis there. Maybe it's not so simple or black and white as that. But it's interesting, though, isn't it? Because for years, Republicans attacked the Biden administration for going soft, for not trying to win the competition, but to manage the competition. In your view, you know, is that gap narrowing? Or is that, again, too simplistic?
I think both Beijing and Washington are doing hard to manage the competition because this competition is a long-term competition.
So you do think that Trump now is taking the same approach as Biden?
Neither side can win in 4 or 5 years or in a specific term of a leader. So I think beyond the wording or narrative, I think they try to manage the competition as well. I mean, don't forget that the U.S. got elections and China got, you know, party Congress coming.
Right.
So they need to manage that.
Do you actually agree with Alex?
I agree. I would use the term managing escalation risks because escalation would be detrimental to all parties. And because China has signaled that it was ready to escalate. And that's the only state in the world that has actually taken the decision to go to escalation. So it worked to some extent, but escalation is not in China's favor either. So I would tend to think that this is where the two sides agree at the moment.
Andrew, but when it comes to the Japan-US trade relationship, is it all that rosy? I mean, there are pressures from Japanese automakers, which are a huge part of the Japanese economy. Trump's also demanding market access. You know, can Takaichi continue to protect these Japanese firms, farmers, whilst also, you know, essentially giving Trump what he wants?
I think Japan's growth over the years has been very modest. And how do you say, it is really in need of a push as such of all the news that, all the investment that Trump has promised. Japan has issues, structural issues within the country in terms of, how do you say, domestic consumption, aging population, productivity, you know, they have a lot of domestic issue. Trump's visit, you know, may somewhat revitalize that. There is always this thing about, you know, whether it is a realized investment or just a potential investment. And also the issues of, you know, whether the discussion was actually a framework or, you know, when it comes to the execution part, there are a lot of challenges as well. So anyway, I think Takaichi takes good news. Any good news is a good news, in my opinion.
And just in terms of Trump's foreign policy, you know, he was actually accused of going soft on Putin. Now that's changed. He's gone sour on Putin. He was also accused of going soft on Netanyahu until he switched, and then he went hard on Netanyahu. And then now we have this possible peace deal in the Middle East. In your opinion, can Trump's China policy work? Or does it require Trump to go hard on China?
I think, number one, we all know that there will be a Trump trip to China
in April,
in next year, and so we are just at the very beginning of a long, big show. I think my take is that Donald Trump wanted to show Xi Jinping a goodwill, a good faith. In the very beginning, and there are target dates to fulfill with all these negotiated items, and the time will be up by then, and Trump is relatively, you know, switching or unpredictable. So I think maybe 2026, Trump will go harder as they manage the overall bilateral relationship, including the Taiwan issue.